Hello, I'm Sonic Light Dash, and welcome to my actual first video. The last one got cut off because my phone had a time limit on its recording. If you actually do like my first video, then I'm gonna actually post this relatively soon. I'm gonna play this video game that I have on my computer since I can't seem to get any other one. And luckily enough, this thing doesn't even need any internet to play this particular game, called Birth of the Empires. Like usual, I'm gonna remove my already established process on this game in order to get you all well acquainted with it and start a new game. In this game, you choose one of 6 alien races is to begin in your era. A coalition of planets, which is us humans, the Hayuan and Trade Union, and I just call it by their names, by their government names in order to save time. The Charon Empire, the Rithari and Star Network, the Atre Invaders, and the Omega Alliance. This one I'm just gonna call by it. And since it's technically an alliance of 3 alien races, there is no actual... well, I guess in truth, there is a ruling caste, since it says the V. But for this one, I'm gonna play as humans. If you're familiar with the game Birth of the Federation, a Star Trek game, then you're gonna see that this is basically the exact same thing, just with us taking the place of, well, new, entirely original civilizations and a new style of government, and actually being based off of those of Star Trek. Then you choose the size of your galaxy. I tend to go with the max size for our player, our time and whatnot. Then I put on a max minor density, their micro civilization, and so you can make first contact with at the game. The anomaly density is basically black hole, those wormhole, those continuum rips, etc., that pop up across the stars. I also try to set some... I'm also putting that to max. And these alien frequencies I'm cutting entirely. They basically make it outright tricky as hell just to play. And I'm gonna make sure this is technically safe for kids when I upload it. I put it on slow expansion, and because I want this to be a series that takes a while. I'm also turning off all the victories and random events because those get annoying fast. And it'll spawn you randomly. And without further ado, let's go. You start off with your home system, which for me is Terra, since I chose humanity. You get 2 probes and a colony ship as humans. I didn't play much of the other races, so I don't know what they get. But every civilization likely starts with a colony ship. I'm putting these on auto explore so that they can go around the map. They typically go to in a pattern to the closest ones on the map, and if it was medium or classic distance, or even long range distance, they go in this particular pattern respectively in order to make first contact. And these are what I was talking about with the anomalies. These are some of the Earth civilizations that you will find. A civilization like the Savar will be able to build starships, but they typically don't leave their assigned region, which is this sector or tile, which is what contains their star system. And here you typically have a select number of population. In this game, you basically have what's called population capacity. Hold on. This here is the current amount of population that I can use or have for the star system. Every pop is 1 billion people. Now, this thing will read within the millions, and this number here, 50 billion, is basically the max amount of population you can get for the system. And it's random for every civilization's home system, but for the preset species like humanity, the Trade Union, the Empire, the Star Network, like the Invaders, and the Omega Alliance, it's always the same, both with these and the planets in the system. In a particular version of this, Pluto's actually one of the inhabited planets in this list instead of being off. And they even have the planet types down correctly, like a Class K, a adaptable world, a Class M terrestrial world, a Class N reducing world, and a Class B Geomordius world. And for some reason it classifies all these gas giants as Class J's, even if Neptune and Uranus, which is actually it. Honestly, before I finish that, why did someone name Uranus your anus? Because in Stellaris, when I played it, it wouldn't even allow me to type Uranus. Pretty stupid. But Uranus and Neptune are considered ice gas giants, since they're so far away that there's little ice that forms inside the gas giant. Anyway, for your population, they're gonna need some food, and I typically try to balance this for the early start. Then I get this. This here creates a resource that allows you to construct starships. Dertium. I don't know how to pronounce it. It's basically like dilithium from Star Trek, and coaxium from Star Wars, and whatever kind of fuel source Earth's FTL drives tend to use. It's a rare one which can only be found on certain planets, and not every star system has a planet like the humans have Earth here, or that has the ability to utilize and extract the resource. If it exists there, then you can basically extract it with the right technology at the time. And these are bonuses. They allow for you to basically turn this. It boosts what these give off. Like Earth gives off of an agricultural bonus. You get 25% food, as you saw when I hovered over and displayed this. For our Venus, its geothermal greenhouse effect actually enables it to have 25% energy bonus, meaning it gives you 25% more energy when you build the power generator in that sector. And Mars gives you a 25% income bonus to titania mines. And when I make this, I tend to try to make colony ships first, because I want to make as many of these civilizations into part of my empire as fast as possible, which also means having to terraform and colonize their worlds. Okay. And what you're hearing is the standard music for the game. I also tend to designate the first colony ship that I have as the flagship. If you lose it, you lose 10 points overall. And what I mean by points is morale. Your systems have a tendency to lose and gain morale as the game goes on. You lose your flagship when you don't have a way to increase your morale here. Then you stir them downward to where they will secede from your empire. So you gotta play it carefully. And now, as I said before, let's get started. Since I already did the basics that I tend to go with, I'm gonna now end my turn, which will basically end the entire mission and for this turn, since I can't do much. And see, first contact act has already been made. If you play this strategically and carefully, you tend to increase the civilization, and that you find and improve your relationship with them over time. Several of them can make starships to protect themselves, so be careful. And they can also tend to be a bit of a pain to deal with. The higher their relationship with you, the sooner they want to come into your empire. Some of them join very early, from what I've seen. And here, when you're terraforming a planet... Oh, hold on. Spider. When you terraform planets, you have to go with a specific guideline. And depending on the density of the planet, and that's how long it'll take to terraform it. And the more advanced the colony ship, the quicker it will take. And in this P here, that's how many terraform points it'll take before it's suitable for anyone and to claim it. This red here indicates that it's not able to support any life. The yellow indicates that and it's being terraformed, and this percentage will increase each turn, and indicating how much longer before you can colonize it. And there's a shade of green, a lime green color, that allows you to easily tell when it's available to colonize. And the green in here means that it's basically that's already populated, and the population will grow this much every turn. If you get really lucky, you can find a civilization with about 100 billion pops at the minimum. It's able to go over 100 billion, but the smallest is being unable to even support 1 pop, and that's kind of stupid. And now that Terra has grown to the point where it can hold 20 billion at a time, I'm now able to do trade routes, which increase your credit income, which is basically the currency of the game. With this, you can basically rush build old stuff, but you can only rush build old buildings and ships, or you can use it as a gift or payment and for empires. You can even use it to bribe them. But if your enemy has any kind of system against it, like say a computer communications array, you're basically not gonna get much off it. I'm turning off the music since I get annoyed by it. There's also an AI that it tends to be a giant annoyance. In game, you have 6 tech types. I tend to leave it as it normally is in order to basically let it progress. Over the course of the game, you get special tech options. It'll give you 3 particular options to choose from, and you can only get 1 out of them. It's basically that. And you can upgrade your ships as it goes on, and with new tech. Outside that, you have what's called the database, which allows you to see the eventual tech progression and how much it'll cost in each type of technology for an increase. Some of these you can access immediately, like the basics. Some like this, which increases morale over time after you construct it. And you can only construct it on the home world, your capital. It'll begin to increase morale on that planet or the entire empire. Like this says empire-wide. Every planet you'll have, every sector you'll have, will increase in morale over time, that much. And if you have more that can do that, it basically increases it exponentially. And this one here will only increase it in the star system that it's populated. And there's only 1. And in most cases, there's only 1 allowed per empire. So use it carefully. And these advanced buildings tend to pull energy. So best not to construct any of them until after you have built and fully manned and at least 1 energy generator. These are all the ships that the Coalition can make. Now, without further ado, let's get back to it. There isn't much to do until you start receiving transmissions from the races. Like here, the race we just met at last turn. They offered us a trade agreement, which is indefinite until they decide to suspend all relations. For this, I'm gonna switch it over. Oh, it's already set to. Relations. Well, these will change to a different color, or depending on what kind of treaty you have with them. Like here, the Nordens. They declared war on me, and as a result, they now have their entire sector colored in red. Luckily, they're not a spacefaring race, so I don't have to worry about them sending ships to counter me. And the Alibuians, they signed a trade agreement with me, so I can now utilize the trade option, establishing a route between us. And that will make credits over time. And depending on the max number of population, and that's how many you'll have available for trade routes. It takes 20 billion it's 20 billion in pops required for one trade route, and for Terra I can only utilize 2. So until I get any new systems and sectors, I can't realistically utilize more than 2 at a time. But they're extremely good for money. And if you have any opinions that you want to put them in the comments. I don't intend on this ever becoming a live stream because I don't actually have the resources or equipment for that, as far as I know. After all, I've only seen them work online, so I don't actually have a clue how to do one myself. Anyway, I'm gonna try to get up to about turn 100 before I turn this video off somehow. It's basically just gonna be some of the same stuff until something exciting actually comes. The Savar have ships. Hopefully I said that earlier. They will create starships to protect their star system, so when we enter there without a friendship treaty, it'll start to be them destroying ships, and it gets stupidly messy afterwards. Until you have a friendship treaty with them, all it's going to do is cause danger. And I'm going to need more friends, so hopefully I can at least get them to sign it for a trade agreement. And before you ask why I couldn't set it any lower, why I didn't set it any lower, because I wanted to try to max out as much friendship as possible. Also, these boxes each represent 125 credits each. Honestly, it's kind of pointless when... It's actually kind of pointless in some cases. But this is mostly based off the game. In Birth of the Federation, Star Trek a game which used the same exact engine type, just with slightly different graphics and overall. And as I said, this is basically the color you get when the planet's available for colonization. And assuming this species actually does have the capability to expand off planet, and they can outright claim that planet as their own. And good, they agreed to my treaty. So when I have the population available, I can actually trade with them. I hope to at least get one member before I end this video. Again, it's more or less just the same crap. Okay. Now I'm gonna trade with these guys. I'm gonna trade with them. And once I have any of these systems as part of my empire. Also, those barracks that I made, they allow you to train troops, which you can use to invade and subjugate civilizations if you want. I tried to go more diplomatic instead of military. You get someone's happiness up, which is that... Hold on. When you get someone's happiness meter up, they begin to actually decide to end conflict with you. The lower it is, the more likely they're going to declare war. The Savar are largely passive, so I don't have to worry much on them. Oh, it's just hair. Oh, no. As I said, I'm gonna launch this video if someone actually asks if they want and something on my last video. This will have been recorded ahead of time, and so I won't actually know until I'll actually look at the comments on my phone. As you can see, now that I have a friendship treaty, this species home system turned green. It's actually pretty good. And it's kind of just repetitive. Now they want a cooperation treaty with me, which if a species has shipbuilding capabilities, then they expand your range, which is what this is that you can travel. The green is for ships that can only travel very short distances. Medium distances are barricaded by this yellow line. And red, it is how far our long-range ships can go. When I say range, they have a continuum drive, which is their version of a warp drive. It allows them to go X amount of range. Like, the scouts always have long-range scouting capabilities, while colony ships and transport ships can only go medium range. For a certain species, they actually have a colony ship that can go long range, so it can colonize outside this medium range BS location. The speed is how many tile as they'll go in a single turn and while traveling. Maximum that I know of is 4. And my second ally, he actually wants an alliance treaty. It's basically just a much deeper version of the military cooperation treaty. which, because they don't have of starship construction capability, is I don't have any reason about that. Stupid update on the computer. I'm gonna have to update this later, so I'm gonna kind of move faster. Got a news. Got that, and I have a new technology which allows me to upgrade. Once you get to a certain tech level, you unlock what's new in the database. Like now that I got to Tech 1 on biology, I can now upgrade my primitive farms, which only produce 20 food each, to automated farms, which makes 25 food each, which, thanks to a 25% food increase bonus per these, it's actually helpful. It saves me a lot of food construction nonsense. These things still require 1 billion people, even though it says replaces workforce. It just makes it easier, and honestly, it takes some resources. As in industry capacity, the industrial capacity that you get from constructing and upgrading factories makes this take however long it takes in turns. Just like these can be these can go in 1 turn before they're fully constructed. This will take 2 turns, and during that time, these will still work. It's best to have a surplus of food or just an insane amount of food in storage before you actually start worrying about food problems. Because if you have a famine, you can start to lose population, and that is one of several factors that will decrease your morale over time. Like, see, I have -1 food. Now this will go down until it reaches 0, or I upgrade my farms. Until I have more upgrades, I'm just gonna leave it as an option. And there's the rest of my upgrade. It's available. And I got a new special tech. For this one, and I tend to go with industrial capacity 10%, because it'll upgrade in my industry better. And since I have deuterium and plasma generators, I can do that. And I'm gonna make that, which is the upgrade for your deuterium extractor. So any system outside your home system can extract the one resource you need for building interstellar starships. It tends to work with in your home system, it tends to work with your extractor, and making an additional one that you can get over each turn. There you go. And you'll make a lot more. And as I said earlier, the credits allow you to rush build this, which pays for the cost and parts that you'll need to construct it in a single turn. And the more turns it works, the higher the price. The higher the industry required, the more the more pricey it is. With humanity, I don't have much of a problem with this, and I use the same strategy every time. So I don't have much of a problem with it. Especially since I upgrade the farms after I upgrade it at the mines, because it makes things a lot easier, realistically. Also, the reason why it looks like I'm jolting my eyes to my left is you're right on the screen is because I'm watching myself talk while I'm doing this, because I actually want you guys to see in my face while I'm doing this for the moment. I might turn this off in future episodes, but I'm at least letting you know what I look like ahead of time. I try to go in numerical order with turns when upgrading, when terraforming planets. And as you see, these people were able to colonize the planets I terraformed, or they can terraform and colonize them at the same time. And now it'll expand their population until it's maxed out. And some species don't actually give much into their industrial capacity on their home systems, and it tends to be screwy. What I just did was a fleet manager move, which was completely accidental on my part. When you double click in this game, it allows you to basically do this, where if you click on another ship while in this mode, you basically turn it into a fleet. And it's pretty helpful. Saves you time coordinating all those moves. And if you can't afford a colony ship, if you can't afford to rush, it tends not to do it when you rush build. So you use this rushing very sparingly as often as possible in order to keep doing it and save you a lot of trouble. And see, that's an annoying part on this computer. The fact that I accidentally double click. As I said, I'm gonna hopefully try to get to 100 turns before I sign off. Now I'll largely focus on upgrading my planet before I continue with building any more ships, because I want my planet to be largely self-sustaining before I actually begin and going in it any further. And if these people have enough acceptance, then when I ask for them for their membership into my nation, which allows you to control their system and whatever they have in that system, including their starships, it'll be under your direct administration, which unfortunately they decided not to go with. If you don't want to manage it, you can let a system manager do it for you. But I don't trust
in-game AI like that. Even on what I believe is the easy mode. I tried to go easy mode since I'm not exactly good at most games. I'm more of a viewer of games and a player of them. And when I do, I usually play easy because I'm a noob. I'm more of a conversationalist and a gamer. I only know this game this well because I've played it 1,000 times over the years. Oh, great. My battery runs fast on this computer, no matter what I do with it. What I'm doing is making a scouting flotilla while making colony ships behind them so I can colonize systems fast. Because when you have a new technology that gives you a new ship, sometimes for certain ships, it'll override them entirely, making them obsolete and replacing them with the new ones, which get more and more expensive as they go. So I try to get as many as possible, mostly so I can utilize them better. And with smaller colony ships, it's actually easier to control the overarching amount of buildings that you'll have on the planet at a time. And I try to balance industrial, agricultural, and scientific output on those planets. Because in this game, you have a ranking system. I'm second in military and third in satisfaction, while last place in science output. I'm gonna try getting these guys into my nation. There's a certain trigger, well, not a trigger, more like a certain amount of resources that'll take someone to join you, just like this. And when they join you, when I go to this screen, their system is now my color, meaning that they've joined my nation. Oh, great. Luckily, in most of the time, these guys tend to have the upgraded tech beforehand, or even long before you even can research it for some reason. It is very helpful in many regards, but it's also an annoyance. And these space docks extend your range of motion and for your ships. And as you can see, the trade route between in the systems ended since they joined. Since I'm no longer needing to trade with them to get money, I can basically get it directly from controlling their system. They produce money in their own regards. It's very helpful, in many circumstances. trade routes are very profitable in certain regards. And because of the restriction, and it tends to it would be hard. And these colony ships, they are used up like most colony ships in most games. Once they are used to colonize planets in a star system, they are no longer usable after the first use. You can use them to terraform as many times as you want, but once they are used to colonize, once the system is either part of your empire already, or you're in neutral space where no one has any control over it, you can outright begin in populating it. And in later sections of this game, it begins to think so hard it slows the processing speed down significantly. But it still works, unlike Stellaris, where every time I played it, I become the most powerful civilization on easy mode, all without needing to fight a single war, and it will then run and itself ragged just trying to keep up. When a new special tech's available, I can divert my research staff from their pre-assigned missions to get that special tech. And as I said, you can only get one of the three options that it presents you with. And there's the famine problem. Until I rectify it, it's going to be a major problem for me. And these civilizations tend to have special buildings made for their particular star system. And it can only be built in the member or star system. Some of them don't require some of them don't require energy to be run, but others, like the Council of Chamber or on Terra, require energy. So you gotta be careful when you do this. I mostly want to extend my range. And I only intend on continuing this for so long. I've never actually fully finished a game on any of these races because I always reset after a while. But if you want me to keep playing this game, leave it in the comments below. Now with these transports, I can use them to transport resources to my star systems. I can also utilize them to send troops to hostile star systems. But I can also utilize them to construct outposts, which are a station, and that it protects the star system from alien invaders. The higher the station in grade, the more powerful it is. And that's one of the many things that is replaced by that replaces obsolete technology, that I mentioned earlier. If any of you are keeping up with this, you should. Because it's actually important in game that you maintain some degree of knowledge of what's going on. And you see this right here? The more this goes up, that's how much more it takes from this each turn. And I need to deal with that right now before I start losing more population again. What I'm doing will force it to construct this, then complete these, and then I'll start agricultural. And hopefully it'll be more than enough. Hopefully it won't kill as much population before. Alright, and be done. Luckily, the less negative food that you have, the more time you'll have before your population is reduced to 0. You can't build these outposts that I mentioned earlier in enemy star systems, including neutral civilizations, the miners. And I say minor as in this minor, not resource mining minor. They really need to fix terminology. And there's this stupid move where the scouts tend to fly themselves directly into these anomalies, which is why I tried to have them in as few games as possible. Because despite them acting as a natural barrier slowing your enemies, they also tend to slow you along with them. The maximum amount of cash you can use on a minor race is 5,000. And luckily enough, this thing has an indefinite bank, so you don't have to worry about that. The more cash you use, the faster this thing is burned through. And when you get to the ability to use spies, one thing your enemies can do is steal your cash from you. That's why when you have the ability to do it, make sure to construct intelligent buildings. They give you intelligence points, which prevents your enemy from abusing the power to infiltrate you, and allows you to infiltrate them. Higher or points you have, the more easy it's done. As I said, certain buildings use power, so you gotta provide them with power. Luckily, at certain techs, you can build these energy buildings which don't even require any population. And once they're built, they just give you passive energy. You can only have a maximum of 8 different items in this queue slot at a time. And you can't, and until you change, unless you change what you're doing, and it'll do this. Once you remove what it's queuing up beforehand, when it's the same thing is like what I did with the scout, then you'll be able to outright utilize them in that queue with the ones you made earlier. I'm mostly trying to fill you in on what this game does while playing it. Now I have better range, which allows me to reach these better star systems and build outposts in them or find new civilization. Which Hamal is going to be a colony system for sure. And like how certain buildings can increase your morale on a single planet or across your entire empire. There are buildings such as the morale, as the super taxes and deuterium trading, as well as one of the new species we just met. The Balamar, which their export bans mitigate a morale for a single star system, or even across the entire empire. So you gotta make sure you have something that increases morale for your entire empire before you actually begin doing that. Well, if you made it this far, thank you. I hope you liked my first true video earlier, and I'm sorry if that was cut off before I finished it. It was stupid. I'm recording this on the same day I launched my first actual video, that hello video, introducing myself. I hope you like this, and if you did and want more, just comment below, as I said earlier. Until then, goodbye.